Hi, everybody. Welcome again to Ivy English. I'm Bruce.
I'm Angela.
And I'm Wesley.
Today and tomorrow, we have a special report for you. We have a 2-day lesson, so you're going to learn a lot. And both lessons are called The Bow and Arrow's Important Place in Human History.
中文标题是射箭与弓道啊，弓就是拉弓射箭那个弓啊，道就是茶道那个道啊，所以射箭与弓道。
Notice how the title is printed. You might find this useful in the future. The Bow and Arrow, EPS. Bow and arrow here are considered as one thing, and that's why we use apostrophe S instead of S apostrophe.
啊，所以我们这个地方呢 ，the bow and arrow 这个看成一个东西啊，所以那个所有格加在 arrow 的后面就可以了。
Okay, they pay me by lesson, so I'm not going to read both days' text right now. I'm just going to read day 1. Today, when people think of military weapons, images of bombs, tanks, fighter jets, and the like come to mind. Yet, at one time, the simple bow and arrow represented the height of weapon technology. Up until the middle of the 17th century in Europe, and into the early 19th century in Eastern cultures, bowmen firing arrows at enemies remained a key part of military strategy. Moreover, prior to being used in war, the bow and arrow had long been used for hunting. Thus, the bow and arrow's place in human history cannot be overestimated. Researchers have discovered evidence that suggests the introduction of the bow and arrow occurred well over 10,000 years ago. Pieces apparently from bows and arrows dating back 18,000 years were found in what is now Germany. Meanwhile, pieces of a stone-tipped arrow from 10,000 years ago were discovered in Kenya. It is interesting to note that, with the exception of most of Oceania, the use of the bow and arrow spread to every place people lived. Since the bow and arrow was so important around the world, it is not surprising that various versions of this weapon were invented. Bows can be categorized according to their material, length, shape, and design. One common type is known as the recurve bow, which has tips that curve away from the archer. In military campaigns centuries ago, longbows, which are roughly the same height as the archer shooting them, were used to cause heavy damage or death to the enemy. Another easily recognizable bow is the crossbow. With its unique design and trigger, it very slightly resembles a gun. Once firearms became popular, however, the bow and arrow's importance in fighting and hunting began to fade away.
Okay, so at the beginning of the article, we say, today, when people think of military weapons, when you think of the military, you think of bombs, tanks, fighter jets, anything made of metal and explosive. All of this and the like come to mind. What is the like? It's not things we like. It is things that are like these things. Mm-hmm. So you can use, instead of saying etc., you can say and the like. So when we think of military weapons, we think of these things. These things come to mind. You can't say come to our mind. This is an error I see all the time. Come to my mind, come to our mind. You do not need a possessive or an article there. They literally just come to mind.
Mm-hmm. 好，所以 come to mind 就是一个想法呢 occur to you 哈 occur to somebody 哈，但要注意 come to mind mind 前面不用加人称所有格，不需要啊。那我们看到这个句子，他说今天呢，当人们想到 think of 想到 military weapons 军事武器的时候啊，人们想到 images 啊，你想到一些这个一些影像啊，那什么东西呢 of bombs 你想到了可能是炸弹啊 tanks 战车坦克啊，或者是 fighter jets 就是这个喷射战斗机 and the like 啊 ，the like 指的就是 things of the same kind 啊，所以这一类东西会怎么样呢 ？come to mind 这些东西的 images 会 come to mind， 你会想到这些东西。
Yet, at one time, the simple bow and arrow represented the height of weapon technology. At one time means sometime in the past, whether short or long doesn't matter. The simple bow and arrow, we assume you know what those are, represented the height of weapon technology. That was as advanced as weapon technology reached, the level of technology. Nothing superseded that until about even earlier, the 17th or 16th centuries.
Yet 啊，但是呢 ，at one time 啊 ，at one time 就是曾经有一度啊，那这个很简单的 bow and arrow 啊，就是这个弓跟箭啊 ，represented 它们代表的是 the height of 就是什么的巅峰，是 weapon technology 的巅峰啊，武器科技的巅峰啊。那也有人说那个就是属于冷兵器的时代哈，冷兵器就是那个时候的这个武器呢不会发热的啊。现在呢是热兵器啊，因为现在的武器啊，不管是枪啊、炮啊，你打完之后都非常热。
So up until the middle of the 17th century in Europe and into the early 19th century in Eastern cultures, bowmen firing arrows at enemies remained a key part of military strategy. Just imagine how devastating a rain of arrows can be on anything. If thousands of arrows are falling from the sky, the rate
at
of
great speed.
At great speed, at killing speed, the rate of attrition amongst the people on the ground is going to be high. It's such a key part of military strategy that it survives to a gesture this day and age. You know how in Britain people like to show two fingers up with the back of their hand out? It looks like a victory sign, but turned around. That means, it essentially means the same thing as pointing your middle finger up at somebody. And the reason why it does is that these two fingers are what you pulled the arrow string with. And it's so what the British troops would show to their enemies to be like, I still got my arrow fingers. I can still take you out. And so that's what this gesture means. However, it's with the back of the hand facing out. So if you ever see somebody doing a victory sign, but with the back of the hand facing out, they're not doing a victory sign. They're giving you the equivalent of the middle finger.
好，所以这个地方要注意哈，我们很多人这个胜利的手势，我们会用这个食指跟中指，哈，这个样就一个比一个2那样子的感觉，或者是比一个像这个倒三角那种感觉啊。但是要注意，就是如果说你比这个手势的时候，你是手背朝外的话，好，那其实是一个侮辱的一个手势啊，至少在英国是这样子的啊。因为呢，其实中指跟食指就是用来拉弓啊的射箭的两根指头。好，所以如果你把这两个指头比给敌人看的话，就是告诉别人说，你看我还可以射箭，我还可以杀你，好，所以那是一种这个很侮辱性的一个手势啊，所以各位要注意啊。其实这个照相的时候呢，我知道我们台湾很多人都很喜欢比一个2的那个手势，好像是胜利啊，但其实呢好几个外国人跟我讲过，他们觉得很 confused， 我们为什么要比那个手势啊？因为你没有得到什么胜利啊。而且那个手势有的人看了会觉得有点反感，所以要注意。那更不能反过来比，反过来比的话那跟比中指意思是一样的啊。好，那我们来看这个地方，他说这个一直要到17世纪中啊，在欧洲要到17世纪中，然后呢，在 Eastern cultures， 在一些东方的文化里面，一直要到19世纪早期啊。那包括中国其实也是类似这样子啊。那在这个时间在这些地点呢 bowmen 就是弓箭手 firing arrows at enemies 啊，这 at 就是表示目标啊，所以他们对着敌人，以敌人为目标射弓箭啊。fire 在这里呢其实你当然可以说 shooting arrows 也可以但是 firing 感觉起来更这个强调他们是在射啊，忙着在射箭那种感觉啊。那所以这个对着敌人射箭的这样的弓箭手呢 remained 他仍一直是就是在欧洲一直到17世纪，到东方一直要到19世纪初年这个弓箭手射箭一直是 a key part of military strategy 是军事战略的一个 key part， 一个很重要的一部分所以这个弓箭非常好用。那各位要注意这个发音因为 arrow 啊，我记得我小时候学的时候是念 arrow 啊，但是呢，有一次 Karen 老师也提醒说，这个 arrow 这种声音越来越在英文，尤其美式英文越来越少了，所以我刚刚很仔细的听了啊 ，Bruce 老师跟 Angela 老师他们都是念 arrow 啊，他们不是念 arrow 啊，是念 arrow。I
honestly can't hear the difference. Are you saying that we say more of an A sound?
Yeah, one is arrow.
Oh, a flat A. Yeah, because the R changes it. That's just what I tell my students. When you put any short vowel sound next to an R, the R has an undue influence and changes that short vowel.
这是另外一个学习的方式，那个 R 会把前面的母音弱化啊，所以你不会念 arrow 听起来很难听啊，他们都是念 arrow.
Okay, continuing. Moreover, prior to being used in war, that is, before bows and arrows were used in military strategy for fighting, for war, the bow and arrow had long been used for hunting. Hunters, whether on the plains or in the forest, if they were quiet, one good thing about the bow and arrow is it doesn't stink, and it doesn't make a lot of noise either. So a good hunter can take advantage of that.
You're also a lot farther away from the animal when you stab them, which is a lot safer for you as a hunter.
Yeah, 因为弓箭没有声音哈，而且呢，这个不会有火药味，而且你用弓箭射动物比较安全一点嘛，因为你离动物远一点啊。所以 moreover， 此外呢 ，prior to 就是 before 哈。在 being used in war， 在它被使用作战之前呢，在它用于战争之前呢，这个弓跟箭 have long been used， 他们已经很久的一段时间被用来干嘛呢 ？hunting 用来打猎。
Thus, therefore, and so, the bow and arrow's place in human history cannot be overestimated. This is a fantastic way of saying this is so, 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 so important. You can't think too highly of this. It is very important.
Yeah, cannot be overestimated. 就是你再怎么样这个去估量都不会过分，也就是非常非常怎样的意思。好，所以这里呢，他说这个弓跟箭在人类历史里面的地位呢，你是没有办法过分的估量，也就是非常非常重要的意思啊。另外一个常见的就是 something cannot be overemphasized 啊，那是另外一个常见的，就是没有办法过度强调，也就是说再怎么强调都不算过分，也就是非常非常非常怎么样的意思。
And both of these sound wonderfully scholarly when you use it in a paper.
那这两个你用在这个学术论文里面，听起来都感觉很有学术的感觉。
Okay, our second paragraph. Researchers have discovered evidence that suggests the introduction of the bow and arrow occurred well over 10,000 years ago. Human history goes back quite a long way for our species, Homo sapiens, at least 100,000, and some paleoanthropologists think 200,000 years ago, whatever. A kind of portable culture 10,000 years ago. This was the beginning of the agricultural revolution and almost the end of the ice age. The ice was already beginning to retreat back to the poles, and people, they made clothing, they had knives, they had bows and arrows, they used fire to cook the food and so on. So human culture, as we think of ourselves as different from other animal species, goes back, they have 18,000 years for bow and arrow in Germany. The cave paintings in Australia and in Europe go back 40,000 years. And there are other things they have found. The first musical instrument was that's right, drum. They used the skin of an animal. This has been preserved from tens of thousands of years ago, I think, in the Czech Republic. And they also buried their dead with flowers. So 40,000 years ago.
好，所以呢，刚刚这个布鲁斯老师跟我们讲了一些很快的补充啊。那例如说这个像弓箭这种东西呢，好像在澳洲啊某些地方，他们那个壁画上面，原住民壁画上面，你可以是差不多4万年前就有这种东西出现了啊。那鼓差不多也在那个时候就有出现了。好，所以我们可以看到说呢，这个句子他说这个研究人员呢，他们发现了一些证据啊 ，discovered evidence 啊，那 evidence 当然它不可以数的啊，发现了一些证据。那这些证据呢 suggests that 这些证据显示 the introduction of the bow and arrow 就是 introduction 可以说是开始出现的意思啊，所以这个弓跟箭开始出现这样的一个事情呢 ，occurred 发生在什么时候呢 ？Well over 是远远超过 ，well 是表示强调语气啊，远远超过10000年前啊，所以远在10000年前啊，那个时候就已经有弓跟箭了。
Pieces, apparently from bows and arrows dating back 18,000 years, were found in what is now Germany. So these are some seriously old artifacts.
Yeah, pieces 就是碎片啊，那 which are apparently from bows and arrows， 它很明显的是，从这个弓跟箭啊所留下一些残余的碎片呢，而且它们是这些 pieces dating back 可以追溯到18000年前啊，那这样的一种碎片呢 were found 已经发现了啊，被发现到了，在现在的德国，所以在现在德国18000年前啊，应该就有人使用弓跟箭了，因为那时候留下来一些碎片。
Meanwhile, pieces of a stone-tipped arrow from 10,000 years ago were discovered in Kenya. So we have Germany in Central Europe, and Kenya is in East Africa. Regardless, that's quite a distance. And yet both of them used the bow and arrow at least 10,000 years ago.
Meanwhile, 此外同时在此同时 pieces of 就是也是一样碎片是 stone-tipped arrow 就是这个尖端是石头做的，也就是它可能是石头制的这个剑尖或者剑触这样的这个弓箭呢，是它来自于10000年前的这样的一种东西呢，也被在肯亚被人家发现了。换句话说，肯亚大概在10000年前，那个时候在肯亚的人类就已经用了那种石头做剑触的那样子一种剑。
It is interesting to note, it is interesting to point out that with the exception of most of Oceania, so all of the islands that make up what we call Oceania, which is between Southeast Asia and Antarctica, basically, all of that southern bit of the Pacific Ocean. Except for that area of the world, the use of the bow and arrow spread to every place people lived. And I'm going to say that probably why it didn't get sort of taken up in Oceania is that the land area is very small and bows and arrows don't really work underwater. And that's most people's protein sources was coming from the water.
Yeah, 所以It is interesting to note that 就当你注意到这件事情的时候，你觉得蛮有趣的什么事情呢？就是 with the exception of 除了的意思 ，with the exception of 除了大多数的大洋洲之外呢 ，the use of the bow and arrow 这个弓跟箭的使用 spread 传播到 every place people lived。只要有人住的地方都会有弓跟箭的使用那刚刚这 Angela 讲到说大洋洲可能弓箭使用不是那么的流行，因为大洋洲他们主要是以捕鱼作为他们蛋白质的来源，那捕鱼的话呢弓跟箭不是那么好用所以他们就没有这个很快的采取这样的一种工具。
Okay, let's take a look at our final paragraph. Since the bow and arrow was so important around the world, it is not surprising that various versions of this weapon were invented. As the bow and arrow was transported from area to area, local people designed it a little bit differently, and that shouldn't surprise us. Jewelry may have started one way, and as jewelry traveled through trade routes and so on, different minerals were added to the collection, different arrangements to put on the human body, and so on. That is culture, and it can be learned, copied, and invented.
好，所以呢，因为这个弓跟箭呢是非常的重要 around the world 所以 it is not surprising that， 所以底下这件事情就没什么觉得奇怪的了。什么事情呢 ？Various versions of this weapon 很多这个武器不同的版本 were invented 被发明出来。
Bows can be categorized. Bows can be put into categories or types according to their material, what they're made of, length, how long they are, shape, their overall shape, because there's a whole bunch of different effective bow shapes, honestly, and design, the overall way it's put together.
好，那弓呢可以 be categorized 就是分类分成不同的 category 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 就是类别。好，所以弓可以分类 according to 根据他们什么来分类呢？他们的 material 是什么样的材质 length 弓有多长shape 弓的形状 and design 还有弓的设计我们可以根据这些东西这些方面呢来分类弓。
One common type is known as the recurve bow, which has tips that curve away from the archer.
Also, this was known as being just super, super powerful. If you had a recurve bow, you could take people out because it just was way more powerful.
Oh,
because you had to bend it practically backwards too, and then when it let go, it was like arrow of death.
所以 the recurve bow 就是反曲弓那他说这是一种常见的 type is known as 称之为反曲弓那 which has tips 它的这个弓的两端呢是 curve 是这个它的弯曲度呢是 away from the archer 是远离这个 archer 所以它不是我们一般的那个弓这两个尖端是朝向射箭手的这一方那反曲弓呢所谓的反曲就是那两个弓弯曲的角度是离开这个射箭手所以射箭手要把那个弓拉回来然后那个弓弹回去的时候它的力量会更强所以反曲弓威力非常的大它可以很轻易的这个杀死一个人。
Now, in military campaigns centuries ago, longbows, which are roughly the same height as the archers shooting them, they're huge, they're long, they're hard to pull open. You need to be really strong to use a longbow. They were also used to cause heavy damage or death to the enemy. If you were facing an enemy that had a whole troop of longbows, basically run. You're not going to win unless you have more longbows.
Yeah, 所以这个地方他说在这个数个世纪之前的这个 military campaigns 就是军事的战役当中呢 longbows 就是长弓那它是 roughly approximately 它大致呢是 the same height as the archers shooting them 它高度大概跟那个弓箭手的高度差不多所以 the archers shooting them 就是 the archers who are shooting them 那这种长弓呢被用来 cause造成 heavy damage 很大的损伤或者是 death 或者死亡 to the enemy 对这个敌人造成很大的损伤那 longbows 这个其实尤其是英国他们曾经有人讲这个 longbows 是英国的这个 national identity 的一部分因为英国人他们很善用长弓那在跟别人作战里面呢这个英国的长弓通常会造成对方很大的伤害是很有效的武器。
Okay, I'm going to read the next two sentences because they're so closely related. Another easily recognizable bow is the crossbow. With its unique design and trigger, it very slightly resembles a gun. So besides the longbow, we also have now the crossbow, which was a bit like a machine. And when the arrow went in, it was held, and you needed a trigger. You needed to press something, a release lever or a button, something like that, and then it would shoot. The arrow would be forced out at great speed.
那另外一个 easily 很容易被 recognizable 很容易被认出来的弓呢，就是所谓的十字弓那它有 unique design， 它有很独特的设计，还有 trigger， 它还有扳机的它 very slightly， 它很轻微的resembles a gun， 就它跟枪有一点点像的意思这个 very slightly 放到前面来呢，就比较不会太强调它，因为如果你说it resembles a gun very slightly， 好像太强调那个 very slightly那这里的重点是 resembles a gun， 所以它把这个 very slightly 把它提到前面去因为英文的句尾通常是重点所在。
Now, once firearms became popular, however, the bow and arrow's importance in fighting and hunting began to fade away because bows and arrows are really the shit, but guns are more powerful. And even though probably because a bow and arrow requires skill and practice, but any idiot can fire a gun, so it's much easier to equip an army with a bunch of guns, I guess.
Yeah, 所以这个一旦 firearms 就是火器became popular 热兵器时代来临了，那这个时候呢，这个弓跟箭的 importance in fighting and hunting 在作战在打猎上面呢，弓跟箭的重要性就开始 fade away， 慢慢的就没有那么重要了哈。那因为显然这个弓跟箭你需要很多练习，但是枪的话呢，其实很容易就训练一个人可以开枪了啊。当然还有其他种种原因。总之，现在弓跟箭已经不会用来打仗了。
Okay, we've finished this lesson, but remember, today is day 1. Tomorrow we will conclude the bow and arrow's important place in human history.